Most guitar players have heard of the Hendrix chord before, but not everyone understands exactly what it is or where it comes from. The theoretically correct name for this chord is a 7-sharp 9. This is what you call an altered dominant chord, a dominant 7th chord, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, with a 9th, 5th, or combination of those two chord tones that have been altered in some way, meaning they've been sharpened or flattened. So the Hendrix chord, the 7-sharp 9, is a dominant 7th chord, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, with an additional chord tone that has been sharpened, that chord tone being the 9th. The unaltered version of this chord would just be called a dominant 9th chord, so that would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9. That's what that chord sounds like versus the Hendrix chord. This voicing gets used a lot of the time in blues. And the 9th in this key, if we're looking at it in terms of E dominant 7th, the 9th would be F sharp. So that's the 2nd degree of the scale. So you can see that the 9th is on fret 7 on the B string there. So to make that an E7 sharp 9, all you have to do is put your pinky on fret 8 of the B string, and then it becomes an E7 sharp 9 because you've raised that 9th by a semitone. Hendrix really liked to use this voicing in particular, which is root on the A string, 3rd on the D string, flat 7th on the G string, and the sharp 9 on the B string. So there's no actual 5th in this voicing, but since the 5th in a 7-sharp 9 is unaltered, meaning it's just a perfect 5th, it's okay to leave it out because the 5th doesn't really affect the overall sound of the chord as much as the 3rd or the flat 7 or the sharp 9 would. So I mentioned earlier that an altered dominant chord like this one has a 9th, a 5th, or a combination of those two chord tones that have either been flattened or sharpened. So if you wanted to explore more types of altered dominant chords, you could try adding in a sharp 5 to that chord, for example. So then you would have a 7, sharp 9, sharp 5 chord, which would sound like this. So the 5, the perfect 5th would be here on fret 7 on the high E string. But to make it a sharp 5, you just raise it by a semitone and add it to the rest of the chord. Now you have a 7, sharp 5, sharp 9. Or instead of sharpening the 9th, you could flatten it to create a 7, flat 9 chord. So here's the sharp 9, dominant 9th, and a flat 9. So you have to bar the 6th fret there to get that flat 9. Everything I've been talking about in this video so far would be useless information if I didn't show you how to apply it. So here's one way that you could apply an altered dominant chord to a common chord progression like the 2-5-1, for example. All a 2-5-1 progression is just playing the 2nd chord, the 5th chord, and the 1st chord in any major or minor key. So if we were in G major, the 2nd chord would be A minor. The 5th chord would be D7, so a dominant chord, and then the 1st chord would of course be G major. So if you want to add a bit of tension to a 2-5-1 progression, what you can do is instead of playing a regular 5 chord, which would just be D7 in this key, you could play an altered dominant 5 chord, like a D7 sharp 9, or a D7 flat 9. What I'm going to do now is demonstrate the use of a 7 sharp 9 and a 7 flat 9 chord in the context of a 2-5-1 progression. So the basic underlying chords would be A minor, D7, and G major. But for the 5 chord, for the D7, the first time that you hear me play it, I'm going to play a 7 sharp 9 chord, and then the second time round I'll play a 7 flat 9 chord. And as for the A minor and the G major, I will play some extended versions of those chords. So So that's maybe not how you're used to hearing the Hendrix chord being used by a guitar player, but there are many uses for this chord, and it does sound cool when you add it to a 2-5-1 progression to add a bit of tension to that chord progression. And the same goes for all other types of altered dominant chords. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this little lesson on the Hendrix chord. If you want to know more about altered dominant chords, extended chords, suspended triads, as well as a bunch of lead-based material like modes of the major scale, the harmonic and melodic minor scales as well, then check out the link in the description. My new course, Bulletproof Guitar Player Part 2, goes over all of these things in great depth and shows you how to apply them to your own guitar playing to become a better player. And if you didn't understand what I was talking about in this video when I was referring to things like 1-3-5 flat 7 or the 2-5-1 progression, there's also a link in the description to my first online course, Bulletproof Guitar Player Part 1. The focus of that course is giving guitar players a solid understanding of fundamental music theory that they can actually use and apply to their guitar playing to become better players. So check the link out for that course if you are interested in being able to understand things like intervals, scale construction, chord construction, all of that stuff. It's in that course, so do check it out if you are interested. Thank you for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up below and click subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.